He just needs to pitch it up.
So welcome to the Steemit panel.
Testing. Hello, hello.
This one's going to be mostly Q&A. We have a couple slides to show you guys first. That dollar guy's pretty smart, huh? I wish I'd thought of some of that stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to show a couple slides. Tim's got some awesome stuff, and then this is by design a very technical panel. This one's for developers, people who are curious, DevOps. You hit us with questions for most of this talk. After he's done showing some cool pictures, and we have all of our leading experts here who will answer your questions diligently and expertly. Tim, take it away.
Hey, is this? Oh, I guess it is working. Cool. Hey guys. As Jeff said, this is mostly Q&A, but I'm just going to go through some slides. We'll go through this really quickly. Just give an overview, kind of a bird's eye view of where we're at, and challenges we've been through, and some pretty graphs. Let's see. So the three aspects: blockchain, backend, front end. Backend is pretty new for our stack, and basically this is where a lot of the work is happening right now. Some of it's moved from the front end, some of it's moved from the blockchain, but it's our most it's the easiest to scale, I think, at this layer. So we're moving a lot of services to it. This is our web traffic, just to give you an idea of kind of where we're at today. We've gone through a few stages, and we've served almost 250 million pages. These are some of the stats we track. And it's really coming alive. So this is an example from some of our recent issues with site performance. And it goes to show, well, first of all, moving to HTTP and JSON RPC over WebSockets gives us the ability to have analytics like this. This is measuring upstream response times from Juicy, which John built, as it's talking to the Steemd node itself. And this, thanks to Justin, basically upping memory available to our Steemd instances, made a huge, dramatic difference. It was day and night. And this is something we've known all along, is Steemd itself is very memory hungry, and the beast had to be fed. Yeah, this is all made possible with our...
Can we get a round of applause for that?
So this is very much a team effort. We had basically everybody contributing, and it's really cool to see things going on in parallel. Same thing. So this is basically a result. This is measuring Steemd nodes.
That middle layer reducing the traffic that goes all the way back through to Steemd, because we have now caching and other performance improvements in front of it.
General overview of where we're at from the perspective of blockchain usage. We've gone through periods of growth with posts, and it's just interesting to see how it plays with payouts. So this is daily posts and payouts since the start. You can see there's goes in waves. They feed on each other. So in terms of the Steemd node itself, this is Bitcoin, this is Ethereum, this is Steem. From day zero, how many transactions per second they were handling. So we can see, Steem was very quick out of the gate, and it's very impressive. So we're just trying to keep up with growth.
Rather than read this off the screen, what I want to do just real quick before we open up Q&A is kind of go over what we've done. A lot of you, we all use the site a lot every day, as you guys do, and we feel these performance issues very acutely, just like you do. So we immediately set out to fix them in a bunch of different ways. If you recall, we postponed Hard Fork 20 to work on app base, Mike over here, and so months ago, we saw these bottlenecks and set about improving them. And if our DDoS and site traffic had actually been come just like a little bit later, that would have shipped already. So because it hadn't, we ended up pursuing 4 different strategies, I think, approximately, all in parallel to speed things up. And they're not even all done yet, which is cool. So it's going to get faster yet. We have Juicy, which is a reverse proxy that does caching. It's John. Mike is working on app base. Justin has been branching out, setting up different clusters, some to get reads, some to get writes, some to get different plugins running to keep the state and memory usage on each one kind of focused. And what we really want to do is we want to open up to questions that you guys have had about what, any part of this architecture or future improvements or anything the questions you have about our performance, any of it, really, that's why we're here. We brought the experts, so. Questions?
Might be best to line up your questions.
Oh yeah, there's a microphone over there if you guys want to. So that's really kind of the point of this panel is we want to engage with you guys. That's the last one, right?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, thank you for that.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Molemeter on Steemit.
Right into the mic, like right up to your mouth.
Okay, right like this or like that. Okay, so it was just a question about these DDoS attacks that have been occurring and they're causing lots of problems. What have the developers, or are the developers thinking about ways of putting in some inline protection to stop them getting through to our site in the first place?
Excellent question. Johan.
Yes. Can you hear me? So I've built, or we have built, a layer that goes through our logs and processes all the different services we have and checks for different IPs and different users that are misbehaving. And we are blocking them at a DNS level. And so we can really mitigate this kind of stuff very easily now.
One thing we were talking about earlier, I want to mention, we had no, in the avoiding premature optimization, we're a startup, we've existed for almost 2 years, and we had not experienced a DDoS, so we had not diverted resources to prevent DDoS because it wasn't a problem that we had. The moment we had it, we fixed it. Not a moment too soon, but now we have those protections in place. So, and yeah, so that project we were actually just talking will be open source very soon. Detects fuckery and blocks it immediately. So, next question.
In just the day that I've been here, it's been amazing to talk to you guys, and thank you so much for being here and doing this and kind of separating the gap between perception of what you're doing and the amazing work you're actually doing, which is awesome. So thank you. My question is, what is your philosophy, your shared vision on communicating in these moments of downtime, like, for example, a status page that talks about the issues and what you're doing about them actively in the moment by moment, or a site down page that kind of reassures users, gives them trust, makes them feel good about the site, even if there's issues going on. Is that something that you guys are concerned about? And kind of related to that, kind of the gap between the really highly technical stuff and the actual kind of layman person who's just like, well, I just want to blog stuff and something I don't understand what's going on, So hopefully that makes sense. Just kind of communicating through the challenges and the technical in a way people can understand.
Absolutely. I think that really our best way forward is to, with each type of issue that we have, and for example, like with the app-based API issue, not to go too deep into it, we anticipated this pretty far in advance, and we're working on it even before we ran into these problems. And then we got DDoS. And now, for example, if we get DDoS again, that gets blocked immediately. It won't actually affect the site. Rather than divert, because we like, as I said, we did this parallel effort to mitigate on a bunch of different levels, from caching, blockchain level, increase the efficiency of the API on the blockchain side, cache the responses from that, block the malicious responses up front, just the whole stack, really. I think because we're still a relatively small organization, it's the best use of our resources to basically fix these problems and move forward. If it becomes a chronic issue, then absolutely hold us to task and say, like, well, tell us more. But if it becomes a chronic issue, then we're not doing our jobs. So I don't think we're going to have big problems like that in the future. And if we do, there will be one-time things, like, for example, our DDoS. So now we have DDoS protection. So come at me, bro. Next question. Come on, you guys can ask Steemit Incorporated anything you want. Here we go. that was what it did. That's what did it. You can ask anything.
No, I was talking to a couple of you about, you're saying there's some improvements in the login process to make life easier for non-technical users, because juggling multiple keys is a bit confusing for the non-geek.
Absolutely. We have a really good idea on how to improve that. If you were here for my talk earlier, we have a couple things that are in the queue in front of it, but it's absolutely something we have some really good ideas about. So let's do this. Anyone who has questions, line up in front of the microphone, so that, because we only have, I think, maybe 10 more minutes or something like that. So just queue up. Hi, Rob.
Hello. What's the fire hose effect? It's on your slide.
So the fire hose effect, this is kind of like a social aspect of scaling. It's a very much like front-end aspect. At one point, you could actually read every single post on Steemit.com. Like, I had read just absolutely everything. And that didn't last all that long. Right now, it's just a fire hose of new posts. And we're still coming up with ways to deal with that. So so basically, communities are one way that we're trying to organize content into, like, really high quality structures with some governance around it. Basically, allow people to set up their own filters to curate according to their own standards and set them as high as they want. So that's fixing the fire hose. Just getting the quantity of content manageable and really making sure nothing good gets lost, because that's the kind of stuff that, like, keeps me up at night.
Next question. Hi, Sarah.
Why did you guys come up with a new brand and logo?
That's a really good question. Mm-hmm. So there's, and we touched on it briefly in the blog post, but the big one is that it's very important that the community understand that Steemit is an application on the Steam platform. And with the coming of SMTs, the Steam platform is really coming into its own. We have a lot of other apps and things, and Steemit is just one app in that ecosystem, and we wanted it to be separate. Two, and this is me, I was so tired of looking like every other social media blue. And then finally, just from a user safety perspective, for purposes of phishing and protecting places where users are going to trust to put in their cryptographic keys and do transactions, we need to have a brand that is tightly controlled, so that we can, take down phishing sites and stuff like that. Get their hosting yanked when people are stealing keys and things like that. So, next question.
What are your plans regarding to the developer portal? New programming languages, the roadmap there?
Vandenberg, Johan, John, you guys want to talk about Golang or TypeScript?
So actually, Mike's been the one who's been working on the developer portal. Wave real quick, just so they. Yeah, and I think he's done a great job on it. But essentially, it's just, we want to add all the documentation of all the stuff that we use to make all of our services available. And I believe the intent there was to make it, user suggestible. So if someone comes up with, like, a really awesome library for another language that ends up being really useful. Like it'll get added in documentation, and it's going to be a living document that as we continually add to it with our own services and all those cool tricks we use, it'll go on the dev portal so that all the third-party devs have access to all of the tools that we use.
I'll just mention in Mike's comment that the dev portal is completely open source, so we want all community to participate in all of our documentation and stuff. It's not imposed. I don't want everybody to participate.
It's a lot of words to say. Send us pull requests.
I'm looking forward to a Go SDK.
We're looking into a couple other languages that we want to start using. Right now we're mostly JavaScript and Python with some TypeScript thrown in, which has been Johan's excellent contribution recently. And yeah, I think our next ones are probably going to be Golang. I think the dev portal I think also links to the we have a community maintained Ruby library. There's somebody who maintains Radiator. I don't know if they're here. So it's got a link to that one. So yeah, if you have a library, send us a pull request to link to yours, or if you want to put your documentation right in there, we're happy to host it. So.
Okay. Hi, Noisy here. I have a question about what you mentioned earlier, that actually the goal of Steemit is to make the Steam market more competitive in a way that other alternative web interface, for example, will be more often used by them. So I believe that I want to bring one issue with that app. So I believe that one of the problem is that people, for example, just do not want to use different apps. For example, I could use every day as Apple or a snapshot, but I do not want to, for example, spoil my feed with such a content because I work very hard to convince my followers that I don't know, write a specific type of content. So the question is, are you going to add any kind of support to different kind of media? For example, as I am a user of Steemit, I would like to treat content posted from one media in a different way, and I would like to have different feeds. I would like to give my users the possibility to subscribe maybe only to my snapshot feed, and so on and so on.
So I'll give you the smartass answer first, which is you can have as many accounts as you want, but I'll give you the real answer.
That is a solution which I currently use.
I'll give you the real answer, which is really, it boils down to the UI, right? So Condenser, which is our primary UI at the moment, doesn't have features like that today, as we all know, but we're adding a lot of better tools to select what you want to view. Just so tags, communities, all this kind of stuff. Communities will be able to set their own standards along those lines. But the long-term answer is that this is up to the individual app that displays content from the Steam platform to select for the type of content. So whether it's based on tag, whether it's based on metadata in the JSON, they can filter. I'm actually thinking about building an interface that only displays things that render to like 140 characters or less. So it only displays like tweet length top level posts, which I think would be kind of cool. But yeah, ultimately it's the displaying app or website's discretion to implement those features. As far as Steemit.com goes, we have some ideas around there which will become clear next year.
Okay, and I have another question. What is actually a vision behind the Steemit? Because Steemit can be seen in two ways. Is it, in your opinion, more like a generic blockchain, Steam blockchain explorer, which will display everything in generic way, or is it going to be more like basically a blogging platform? Because Steemit can be one of those, but not both at the same time.
Yes.
Stay tuned, because we're going to do a lot of things that you think we can't do at the same time. Okay. I'm actually giving this talk and chewing gum at the same time.
I actually wanted to add one more point to your first question regarding the feeds, and that is currently feeds are done in Steemd itself from the follow plugin. That's all being moved to the HiveMind backend service that Tim has been working on. And so when, HiveMind's open source, and so if someone wants to make a service that only displays your snapshot feeds, they just need to fork from that repo and modify it and then get a feed from there. So, just because like Steemit.com isn't going to do it doesn't mean that it isn't going to be really easy for another developer to pick it up and do it. All of these services are open source, and we sincerely believe if the need is there, we have thousands of talented developers out here that are going to do it, which is why all of this is open source.
The architecture trail very recently had all of the indexing and database stuff happening in SteemD, in C++, and then the website was just reading from that. And that worked really well when the team was 6 people. And 3 of them were C++ wizards. And now the team is much larger than that, and C++ team has not grown with the same proportion as the rest of the team. And so what we're doing here really, and this benefits everyone in the community, is we're making it really easy to slice and dice the blockchain data any which way you need it for any type of application. And we're actually empowering not only our own developers, but any developers who want to use these open source tools to modify them to get exactly the data they need using languages they're familiar with, databases they're familiar with, and deployment strategies they're familiar with, so that their applications can customize their views and their filtering and however they need to do it. And we're doing this for us, but also it benefits everyone. So, quick question, Roland, do we have a time limit, or can we just? Can we do this forever, or when? Okay, you just holler at me whenever. I'm just going to keep taking questions until. Cool. Okay. Next question.
Hello, guys. Thank you very much for all the great job that you're doing. My question is related to the presentation that was made by Sneak. There was one slide with big plans, and one point in that slide was referrals and invites. Could you clarify a bit what is that?
So right now, actually, I'll share some brainstorming that we've had recently. Whenever you create new stored money on a blockchain, you increase the size of the consensus state for that blockchain, which takes computing resources. So in a lot of blockchains, you pay a transaction fee, and then that money sits there in associated with a key. In Steem, it's account-based, and so to create that account is what uses the resources. And so in some fashion, that needs to be bounded so that it doesn't consume infinite resources to make it impractical. Other blockchains do this with transaction fees. Steem does this with creation fees. So to allow free account creations unlimited would make the blockchain practically unworkable. What this means is that we need to figure out ways of creating millions of accounts cheaply, conveniently, and quickly without basically opening a DDoS attack. And we have a lot of on-chain and off-chain solutions for that. So Hard Fork 20, which we have a proposal out about, outlines the on-chain methods of solving that. There are some off-chain methods of solving that, like figuring out who you want to pay for, who you want to subsidize, if you vouch for people and they're not spammers, they're not scammers, stuff like that. So we have a number of different ways. This is the design stages, but in the coming year, we're going to be implementing a lot of ways to fast-track users onto the platform, because we exist in the same universe you guys do, and we see this bottleneck and we want to remove it. So we're removing it in a couple different ways, on-chain and off-chain. So that's, stay tuned, we'll be publishing all that kind of stuff. So.
Hello, good afternoon. So I just have 2 questions. One regarding, I just want to get a little bit more clarification on what you meant when you say modularizing the blockchain. Are you modularizing like the different data as part of the blockchain? That's the first question. And the second question is, are you gonna, I know right now the only option to share post revenue is 50-50, and then you have 50-50 with someone else, and also either you get 50 Steem dollars and 50 Steem power. Are there going to be in the future like kind of a contracting system where you could make that a little bit more flexible? Let's say I want to collaborate on a project, so I want to divide up whatever is earned on a post to like 25% to musicians and 25% to writers and the rest to the video producer. Is there anything like that coming down the pipeline?
Okay, so the first question with modularizing the blockchain, there's several aspects of that. First is just from a, like I said, the data theoretic perspective of actually figuring out what needs what things and breaking those apart. But also practically, currently the state file is a single file with everything in it, and all of those modules are going to have their own state files. Has some immediate performance benefits because If you're familiar with OS paging, that costs a lot of time. It's an eternity for computers. And so breaking those objects into their own state files will give performance benefits because it ensures that two objects that don't care about each other don't end up in the same page. So we're going to get some like for free performance gains just from that.
So you're basically trying to separate out the dependencies.
Exactly.
Okay.
If you're filling a limit order, you don't care about posts, and right now the memory allocator that we use in Boost just fills from the beginning of the file, and so having the OS page based on locality means you could fill a limit order and then go load in a 64K post, which does you absolutely no good. So those sorts of things will get performance benefits for free. We're also, as some necessities to how the modularization will work, means that we're going to be able to support live snapshotting of the state file and saving out a platform-independent version of that state file to disk, which the process of doing so will automatically defragment your state file. So you'll get some potential performance benefits there. So there's a lot of stuff we're going to get for free in the next coming months throughout this process that should all help with performance. So hopefully that answers your first question.
Yes.
And then for the second, with the comment payout beneficiaries, there is currently a soft limit of 8 on the blockchain. So any UI can specify up to 8 different accounts to split those rewards with. And there's a hard limit of 256. So if you can come up with a really good reason why you need to share your rewards with more than 256 people, we'd be happy to increase it, but we think for now that's probably enough. Just the UI needs to support it, and the same with the Steem dollars is the highest percentage of Steem dollars you can accept is 50%, but the blockchain itself supports splitting any sort of split between that that is lower than 50% in 0.01% increments. So a UI simply needs to support it, and the blockchain can already handle all of that.
But I was thinking, sorry if I'm taking up too much time, but I was thinking, like, the revenue sharing is a very interesting idea, but can you not take it to a higher level of abstraction where you do something like Ethereum? You would have different kinds of contract that could be linked to all the contracts. So like, if I want to create like an organization, right? I don't want to have to get the earning and then have to transfer the funds manually to a different person. I get the funding and then the resources go to like a specific contract that does a specific function. Do you understand what I'm getting at?
Smart media token.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's smart media tokens. We're wanting to add a lot of those type of features using the SMTs. So,
okay. Thank you.
There's a lot of functionality in the blockchain that's not exposed via the current UIs. There's a whole escrow system in there. There's reward splitting for presently 8, but up to 256 different things. There's a lot of different things, and each one of these is potentially a business model for someone. There's account recovery. There's ways you can use multisig to do password resets. There's all sorts of different services that anyone can provide to these 400,000+ blockchain users and charge them money for. So these are freebies for you guys if you want to pursue them. Next question.
Yeah.
Limit 2 per customer.
Yes, and also regarding SMTs. I read the paper, and there's one part that I missed, perhaps. Which are going to be the conditions to be able, as a Steem user, to create SMT? Something like, is there to need to have, for example, a certain amount of Steem power for creating a token, an own token, for example?
There's going to be a small fee. I think we talked about it. It's going to be, I think the paper says 1. I think we're bumping it up to like 10. There was a couple concerns that we had, and we figured 10 was a good amount that's is really easy for people to come up with 10 Steem, but enough that it significantly supplies significant protection to the blockchain. So effectively, we want the fee to be as low as possible to protect the blockchain, because the same problem with account creation is just creating the SMT, that state is then created. But we want the barrier to be low enough that anybody who wants to have an SMT and create a business around it has that ability to do so.
When we talk about state, this is the amount of information that the Steem consensus process needs to keep in memory or on really, really fast disk to be able to process the blocks and transactions. And so when it grows, it consumes resources on every single peer-to-peer node that is validating the blockchain. And that needs to be managed, because if it gets too big, then you can't run it on a computer. So that's what we keep coming back to, keeping state manageable. That's why we have account creation fees. That's why there's a small fee for SMT creation. That's why we have that's why there's a window to the payout time on a post, because those have to be kept in state until they're paid out, and then they can come out. Stuff like that. So.
And a small related question regarding interface. Is it going to be possible in the future from the Steemit.com interface to select any of all existing created SMTs to be votable when you write a post using the Steemit interface? Or is just going to be a selection on your site, or it's just up to the developer of the new interface for their own token?
I think right now, the current way we're going to implement it is that when you vote, all the SMTs that you currently hold are going to be part of that vote, I believe is what Theoretical and I have decided upon. Now, granted, that's still work in progress, because some of those details are
and I think ultimately that will be configurable.
But it should happen automatically.
Okay. Yeah. The details around the way that SMTs will be integrated with the Steemit.com interface will become clearer after the first of the year. As far as right now, SMTs are, we're primarily focusing on allowing people with existing websites, existing audience, existing content to monetize those and to bring those websites onto the crypto blockchain universe. However, SMTs, of course, will be a big part of the entire social application going forward. So exactly how those are integrated, first we're focusing on getting SMTs to the world, and then we're going to integrate them with Steemit and other websites and all that sort of, at the same time. So, thank you.
Hi everyone, and thank you for today. So my question is not technical at all. It's very theoretical. None of us can predict the future, and it focuses on the social media aspect of Steemit. And it's very personal, the answer. Maybe I should get an answer from every one of you. Do you think Steemit is going to be the social media that will cause the death of Facebook? Considering the growth the last year and a half.
I'll go first, and then I'll let you guys go. So a lot of people compare Steemit and Facebook, but the way that most people use Facebook is they use Facebook to communicate to a set of people that they know, and it's usually around 100 people. So you post on Facebook and it's available to 100 people. Of course, Facebook and the government and everyone else, but the people you're publishing, so I can't go to that guy's Facebook and read his post because I'm not on his friends list, right? But when you post on other platforms like Instagram or Twitter, where the default is open, or on Steemit, you're publishing to 7 billion plus and counting people, in theory forever. Right? And so I think they serve different markets, but I do absolutely think that, in my opinion, I'll let everybody else chime in, that the Steem platform and all of the apps in its ecosystem absolutely stand a very good chance of replacing these traditional 1 to 7 billion broadcast media, because all the other ones are centralized and have gatekeepers, and you can only use them to criticize a certain subset of those 7 billion people. Whereas with Steem, as I'm sure all of you know, you guys can actively criticize every witness and Steemit Inc. and suffer no consequences whatsoever. So I'll let you guys give it a shot. What do you think? Is this going to take over the world?
Yes. So I think for me, I think the key distinction is when you use Facebook, you are giving your information to Facebook, and you're the product. Facebook profits from you. In Steam and the Steam ecosystem, you profit from your work. And as soon as everybody catches on to that, I don't think advertisement on Facebook will be profitable. And I think Steam, this is the ecosystem, not necessarily Steemit.com specifically as an interface, has the potential to completely turn the advertising model on its head. So if, when the people catch on to it, the advertisers will have to react, and maybe Facebook will react in a rational manner, or maybe they'll go away. That's kind of up to Zuckerberg at this point.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
I love SteemFest. It's like such a friendly thing here.
I'm Tim Cliff. So as a lot of you probably know, I'm very interested in what all of you in the dev team are up to. I spend hours a week combing through all the different things in GitHub and kind of reading the issues and the pull requests and stuff like that. So I'm interested in hearing from actually each one on the panel. Out of the stuff that you're working on right now that you're able to talk about publicly, what's the thing that you're most excited about?
So I'm working on a library. Maybe some of you have seen it. It's called Steem. It's a TypeScript, strongly typed library for Steam that hopefully will replace Steam.js at some point. And I think that's going to be a really good thing for the developer ecosystem.
I can continue. I'm very excited to be starting working on Steam widget. So it's going to be embeddable widget, so you can use it on any website. So visitors can comment, and comments will be posted on Steam, and you will be able to use SMTs, this widget.
So are those like a plugin that can go into a different website or like a word?
Yes. This is plugins that can be embedded into any website.
Very cool.
So performance issues are a big part of my job and a big part of all of my concerns. So one of the things that I'm most excited about is app-based in Steemd, because that's the thing that's really going to make it scale well. What we've done in the short term is both caching through Juicy that John wrote, and then of course throwing hardware at the problem, more RAM, faster disk. But what we need
many instances.
Many instances, exactly. So what we really need is for Steemd to be able to handle more requests at one time. What we're doing now to mitigate the issue is getting it lower latency, so one instance can handle many more requests rapidly, so it seems like they're happening all at the same time, but in reality, it's doing one thing at a time, which requires many of those instances. But with app-based Steemd, maybe one of those can handle what 20 of the current nodes are handling now.
And again,
I don't think that's an exaggeration at all.
This is something you started on like months ago, and it's very near to a release. We're very excited about it because it's going to vastly reduce the cost of running API nodes for us and for everybody else as well.
Well, I have to agree with Justin that from the user perspective, the performance of the site I think is absolutely essential. And so some of the work that I've done with Justin and on Juicy has been, I think, just a lot of fun to work on, and it's been very gratifying that it's had an effect. But I think from the perspective of developers, the amount of information that we already have in the blockchain, making that easier to query and do fun and interesting things with, things that I don't even understand or predict, but I know the value of being able to, for instance, with SBDS or also with HiveMind, creative ways of indexing this information, making it available for developers that have good ideas that I haven't had to be able to easily build things with it. I think that's very exciting to me personally.
So yeah, the performance stuff is what I've been working on since like July. I do have to give a shout out though to both Justin and John and they're saving my ass right now. Blockchain development is slow because you have to. It's kind of like performing open heart surgery. Like, I'm not trying to make me sound like a surgeon or anything. So, but we have an application that's running that I can't break. If I break it, then I'm probably out of a job. Well, I have to fix it, and then I'm out of a job. But we can't break the blockchain, and so development on a blockchain is slow going and purposefully because we can't break it.
Measure twice, cut once.
Yeah, and what they're doing with Juicy and our dev stuff is buying me a lot of time. So I'm really excited to get AppBase out because I've been working on it for several months, and excited to work on the next phase of making Steam run even faster.
And I just want to reiterate one thing. As Vandenberg mentioned, he's been working on this for months now. So these types of performance issues were something that we have clearly seen way in advance. Something that we've been working on for quite some time now, and just mitigating these issues in the meantime. So it's something. Hard Fork 20 we announced that it was actually delayed because we needed to finish AppBase first. Steemd needed to become multi-threaded in order to accomplish the rest of our goals and for it to scale well. So this is something that was expected.
Johan, you have any more exciting physics demos for us?
Not yet, no. Tim, what are you working on?
So I'm working on HiveMind. I'm pretty excited about that. Basically moving some of the back-end logic into moving some of the blockchain logic into moving it from C++ into Python. So things like following people, unfollowing people, reblogging. So HiveMind will make it trivial to like unreblog something or add a note with a reblog or add other features like reactions. That's also the foundation. It's the infrastructure we need for communities. That's actually the main reason for building it. But I'm very excited about all that.
Tim's been working very diligently on that for a while. I'm really excited about that. It's the core engine that's going to drive all of our communities and community moderation, which I think is going to vastly improve the signal to noise in certain sections of the site. So,
do you have one, Snake?
What's that?
Do you have one that you're excited about?
In talking to people at SteemFest, I'm super excited about all the businesses that are going to be built on and around SMTs. I think that the tokenization of the world is really only starting. It occurred to me recently that cryptocurrencies, while we treat them as property in the strict sense, they're actually speech. Because we're just communicating information from person to person, and we all as human beings agree that those represent value in our own sort of social consensus. And so I first got into the internet and first started developing things because the internet lets people send information between them. Like the first thing I did, I don't know about you guys, when I got on AOL when I was like 14, I got in chat rooms and I started talking to people. And then I got on IRC and then I started talking to hackers and all sorts of cool stuff branched out from there. And the potential for SMTs to be integrated into so many different types of apps and businesses and to allow not only just those business operators, but also every single individual participant in those individual businesses to potentially profit from their contributions is a transformative force for any society, the likes of which we haven't really seen since digital money first came along, which is almost 10 years ago. So I think this is really phase 2 of that.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Hello, guys. Frederick.
Into the mic, please.
Sorry. Taller than the guy before. Hello, Frederick AA here. So the one thing that perhaps got me the most excited about Steam and believing the most that it will succeed was understanding how the model incentivizes the users to help solve its own problems. And I thought it was very nice when with the SMT launch, you guys literally asked for people to tear it down and tell you why it would fail and, to try and be killing it so that one can, fail fast, succeed sooner. And I was I believe that you guys could harvest even more value by being even more transparent in that way, also in other areas where there's room for improvement, and that you could get more value from the users that way. So I want to ask most of you the question then: what is the thing you find difficult in your job today to reach where we all want to be, and perhaps what is the challenge you experience where you think it would be the most awesome if the community could help you solve it?
So the one thing our community is really good at is telling us when they want changes. And we listen a lot. We read comments, and we read posts, and we use the system just like you guys do every single day. And so it's pretty clear, as Mike pointed out, blockchain development takes time, and because of the huge number of stakeholders and the value involved, we have to make sure that we don't make errors, right? The other stuff above that layer, so we have a backlog there. Like we have account, cheap account creation. We have SMTs. We have a lot of stuff that we wanted to have out months ago that are still in the pipeline. So we have at least a few months before new stuff can go in there. But as far as the front end stuff goes, we love the thing. You guys please speak up. But the thing I love to see are front end both bug reports as well as feature improvements. I love reading all the ideas for features. Probably 80% of the stuff that's gone into Condenser, our front end for Steemit.com, has been a direct result of users emailing us and like, hey, why doesn't it do X, Y, Z? Johan implemented on the back end to store drafts recently, and as soon as we're done with one other project, we're going to be putting in the front end for that. So then you'll be able to store drafts. That was user suggestion. So anything it doesn't do that you guys really wanted to do, tell us. If it's just like one weird use case that only you have, then we probably won't do it. But if you tell us and you tell us and you tell us and you tell us, then yeah, we'll add draft saving, right? Because that's something everybody wants. So please just shoot me an email. Get on the chat, make a post, use a tag, whatever. Just get it. We read it all.
So with the testnet, so I guess I'll just preface this with there have been maybe 3 or 4 times where we've missed something in our testing, and very intelligent Steemians who read C++ have sent me messages saying, hey, if this thing happens, the entire blockchain will stop. And we fix it as quickly as possible, but unfortunately, because it breaks consensus, we have to have a hard fork to fix it. And up until that hard fork happens, I'm sweating bullets every single day because I know that at any moment, the entire blockchain could stop. So with the testnet, you can safely break Steem, and we can fix it, specifically with new features, and I'm really excited for that. So that's my invitation to all of you. When we launch these testnets, please break them, because I want to fix them before we release code, and that would be hugely helpful to me.
As well as all of you.
Yes.
I would say one of my
Indeed.
challenges is that, and I don't think I'm alone here, especially in this room, I find Steem the platform just very exciting and interesting, and every day that I work on it, I think of another idea for it. So the challenge that I have is the number of hours in a day. And I think that I'm probably not the only one here that has ideas that they haven't implemented, or fun apps that they haven't built yet. I know for me personally, I find it very helpful when people are active on GitHub, even if they're not technical, with filing issues or suggestions or comments, or my favorite, pull requests that fix the stuff before I even knew it was broken. And I think people working together and taking advantage of the open nature of this, that's one of the big differences between us and Facebook is you can download our code, you can run it ourselves, you can complain about what's not there, you can fix it yourself, you can bug us to do it, it's great. And so I think working together that way is very beneficial for all of us.
I want to add to that, and you can actually see every single bit of work that every single developer does on every single branch in real time on GitHub. All of our code is open source. We do all of our development in public. We do all of our divvying up of work, and feature planning in public. So if you want to get more involved, or if you're curious about what's going on, please dig into our GitHub. We have maybe 15, 20 repositories that are active on there, and they're all interesting. And if there's not suitable documentation, file a bug and say hey, I couldn't understand what this thing is supposed to do. Could you explain it to me? And we'll add it to the README. If we're putting up any barriers to anyone getting involved, then those are pinch points we want to improve. So.
No, I really, when you come here and you talk to you guys this way, it's just so wonderful. I'm just thinking that, you could have given this sensation to many more new users coming on that, hey, be a co-creator, hey, you get a stake in this, be part of it. And I would just recommend that have another look at the sign-up process of a new user. And if you could sort of sneak in that invitation to be that co-creator somewhere early so that it's obvious, so that you don't get people who then, after a few weeks of some sort of frustration feels like you guys are not transparent when indeed you are, because you are good at this.
Believe me when I say that everyone who's ever given us their email address is going to hear from us a lot more in 2018.
Awesome. Thank you.
Last question. Last person with the last question.
Ooh, I'm on.
You only get one, I'm sorry.
I'm Lovejoy. So we all know blockchain development is super easy. And so, as we've seen it seems like every month that I'm witnessing what's happening on Steemit, there's one instance of the sky is falling or another where, and I'm a non-technical person largely, but people are always coming to me with questions like, oh, there's not enough memory to run a full RPC node, it can't scale, it's gonna break, and all this stuff, and I just have to sit and take it because I can't really respond to these people. So I'm wondering if you guys think that if it's worthwhile for developers to, this is great, the forum we're having right here is wonderful, and I'm not hearing these kind of wild, sort of claims from this audience, but to have a sort of developers respond blog and single out these kind of sky is falling, things before they get so out of hand that they're consuming lots of people's mental bandwidth. And for one of you to just put it to rest, without letting it.
Permission granted, go ahead. Just let us know what the username you pick is.
Yeah, I can just ping you and send, write a hit list and
yeah, you can just go
take them down.
So one of the things, I don't say this a lot, but I think it's really important. A lot of people look to us for solutions to platform deficiencies. And many of them we will build. We have to, obviously we don't have infinite resource, we have to prioritize things. The fastest way you can get more stuff done quickly is to send us your smartest friends that want to come work for us. But a lot of these things, like I talked about before, can be built by anyone and can be expanded and improved by anyone. And a lot of them are actually potentially profitable businesses. So if you feel pain in any or inconvenience in any part of the Steam ecosystem, ask yourself if that's potentially something that you could build that makes life easier for the hundreds of thousands of people that use Steam. That said, that's the answer I want to give a lot of people, but that said, we absolutely would love to blog more. I love writing. Vandenberg is an awesome writer. Theoretical, our lead SMT architect, is an amazing writer. We're all crazy busy, and I think I speak for all of us when we'd rather write code than blog posts, and we absolutely need to improve in that regard. But the problem is that to write cool technical posts requires a technical person. To write posts that are just like, oh yeah, cool, everything's good over here, just wait a little while longer, we're working on it. Like those kind of, the kind of people get hired to write those posts, like sure, we could have those, we could put one of those every week, but like it's not really, you're gonna get bored of them because they don't really have meat in them. And the people that can make posts with meat are all coding. So until we're bigger, like we're only like 24 people right now. Like until we're bigger, you're just gonna have to wait or read our GitHub and get the upvotes and the payment from like actually summarizing and reporting on what we're doing because we do it all in a fishbowl.
Cool. Yeah, I know we do have the Steemit dev account, which we've posted a couple blog posts from, and I think we want to use it more, but like Sneak said, bandwidth on fixing problems, writing code versus writing a blog post about it. Because we have all the discussions, and like probably if we just had someone transcribe like some of our meetings, those would make some awesome blog posts.
I've thought about this a lot, actually. But ultimately, I think we can all agree that we want to get you a way of making 1 million signups instantaneously before more blog posts. But we will eventually do both.
Cool.
2018 is going to be a big year. We're expanding in multiple dimensions. So.
Bonus question, yeah.
This is
hi.
The -1 question.
I'm not sure if this is the right question to ask you guys, but I've come across one person here, and also, I don't remember who it was, and also one person who I follow who's had a bad experience of being downvoted by someone who's got a lot of steam power and just being destroyed. And when they haven't really done anything so terrible other than maybe criticize or argue. Is that something that, yeah, I just wanted to sort of put that out there and ask.
Downvotes don't take anything away from you that you don't have.
Right.
Voting is not complete until all votes have been cast.
Right. Okay.
Just to add to that, with communities, it creates an alternate governance model that doesn't really depend on steam power at all. So I think that would help in those cases too.
Yeah, the communities really is a way of making things visible and pushing things lower in visibility based on the preferences of the community administration rather than necessarily the things that are voted on. So that is actually going to change the social dynamic a lot. That said, I think we're out of time, but I want to ask all of you to join me in thanking Roadscape and Val A and Justin W and Laser and Vandenberg and Almost Digital for the amazing work that they and all of these other guys have been doing as well. And I don't mean to exclude the rest of the team that's floating around out here, present and past, that have all contributed to the ecosystem here. This is a team effort from first to last, and even a lot of the code that we rely on every day was written by people who aren't even involved in Steemit day to day anymore. So this is absolutely a community that we all depend on each other for. And thank you for coming. It's great to see you all.